Hi, Stuart here from Ring Jewellers. This is your honest, unbiased guide to natural versus lab-grown diamonds. Lately, it's a bit of a sad state of affairs, as can often happen with social media. There's a lot of anger and ranting, and natural diamond companies are really bad-mouthing lab-grown diamonds and vice versa. We sell both at Ring Jewellers because we design and make bespoke jewellery, and we ask the customer what they would like rather than trying to force them down a certain path. So because of that, and because of me getting tired of seeing all this sort of basically lies on social media, I've created this little guide, and hopefully it will answer some questions you've got about natural versus lab-grown diamonds. So the first question we get asked almost on a daily basis is, will I be able to see the difference between a natural and a lab-grown diamond? And in short, it's quite a simple answer: no, you won't. If you see any difference when you're comparing two stones side by side, the chances are it will be the size or the grade of the stone rather than a noticeable difference. There's more and more advanced testing equipment hitting the market, and you'll be surprised, even really expensive machines will often give the result refer to a testing laboratory. In other words, the machine that's been designed for this purpose and this purpose only, even that can't tell the difference, and it says send it to a testing laboratory. So the layman and an expert won't be able to tell a natural versus a lab-grown by eye. Laboratories can, because they've got some super advanced equipment, but there's no chance of you just wearing a ring and somebody saying, oh, I can see that's a lab-grown. The only slight exception, I guess, is if you buy a huge stone, then someone might think, I doubt you've spent like £50,000 on that ring, so it's probably lab-grown. So buying a very, very large stone might give the game away a little bit, but the actual appearance of the stone, the sort of sparkle of the diamond, you're not going to see any difference. So no, you won't see the difference between a natural or a lab-grown by eye. Another very common question we get asked is budget. How do rings and other pieces of jewellery vary between a natural and a lab-grown diamond? Well, with natural diamonds, as stones get larger, they cost more per carat. So large stones have some quite nasty spikes in price, whereas with lab-grown diamonds, the price per carat is very, very similar. So that price rise is far more subtle. This means basically with a lab-grown, the larger the stone you buy, the larger the saving. So if you're buying a very small stone, it might be around half the price of the equivalent natural diamond. But if you start buying larger stones, anything over a carat, you can save thousands of pounds. So there's a big, big price difference between natural and lab-grown. Now, I mentioned earlier about the online rants on social media. One thing you're hearing a lot from natural diamond companies is, oh, lab-grown diamonds have come down a lot in price recently. You don't know what's going to happen to the price. And that is totally true. But the bit they often neglect to tell you is natural diamonds have come down a lot too. What's happened is lab-grown diamonds are becoming so popular that it's decreased the demand for natural, and because they're not as in demand, their market share has gone down and their price has gone down too. So yes, lab-grown diamonds have come down a lot compared to a few years ago, but natural diamonds have too. So as well as budget, the environmental impact is something we get asked about quite a lot. And how does that vary between a natural and a lab-grown diamond? So mining natural diamonds, there's no two ways about it, it is quite invasive. Estimates say that around 100 square feet of land is disturbed and around 250 tons of rock and soil are mined just to get 1 carat of natural diamond. There's also thousands of gallons of water are used in the mining process. With lab-grown diamonds, the energy consumption is the equivalent of a few days of domestic home energy. And there's far less water used. The power is something that a lot of natural diamonds will say, oh, it's horrific power consumption. And this is really the crucial part. You can't say all lab-grown are totally green, because what a lot of it depends on is the power grid that's local to the foundry producing the diamonds. So if you've got a power grid that's coal powered, that's not great for the environment, although it's still better than a mined diamond. If, on the other hand, the local power grid is green renewable energy, then that lab-grown diamond is going to be far, far more environmentally friendly. Also, there are already lab-grown diamond companies that are B Corp certified, and at the time of recording, there are no natural diamonds that are B Corp certified. Here at Ring Jewellers, we also work with Sky Diamond, and they've got an amazing process for producing their lab-grown. They use green renewable energy, and what they do is what they call mining the sky. So they take carbon from the air, use that carbon, again using green energy, to produce lab-grown diamonds. So when they create a diamond, they're effectively cleaning the air and improving the environment. So Sky Diamond use a really amazing technique. Diamond formation is another thing we get asked about. How does that vary? Well, natural diamonds take literally billions of years in the earth to form. Lab-grown diamonds, technology is moving on all the time and they're becoming quicker and quicker. So most take months to produce, but there are even instances of lab-grown diamonds taking just weeks to produce, as opposed to billions of years with natural stones. Now, some people, it's quite an unusual thing to think about when you're buying an engagement ring, but some people asked about investment. Now, which is a good investment, a natural diamond or a lab-grown diamond? To be brutally honest with you, neither of them are. Buying a diamond, a new diamond, is like buying a car. As soon as you drive that car off the forecourt or buy that diamond ring and take it away, the price drops quite steeply, and the second-hand market are very, very harsh the way they buy in. So there's no chance you're going to buy a diamond ring and a few months later cash it in and make a profit. That's not how it works. So I would advise buy a diamond ring because you love it or it symbolises your love for your partner, like an engagement ring. Don't buy it as an investment. And if you or your partner are thinking of cashing in the engagement ring, then you might actually be with the wrong person. Now, one thing lots of people don't realise is this big debate, natural versus lab grown. There's been an almost identical situation before in the jewellery trade, and that's with pearls. I think it's a really great analogy for this lab grown versus natural situation. So before the 1920s, everybody bought cultured pearls. They were very rare, they were very sought after, and everyone wore natural pearls. Then in the 1920s, a Japanese man called Kokichi Mikimoto developed the process of cultured pearls, and gradually they became more and more popular. And nowadays they estimate about 95% of pearls on the market are cultured. So you've got this item used in jewellery that was always natural, everybody wanted natural, then a process came about where there was a man-made version and everybody took to it. So I think that's a great analogy because people are often looking for like, what's the future going to hold and what's happening with natural versus lab grown, but that's such a great parallel. It's something I often refer to when I'm talking about natural versus lab grown. So the very big question, what does the future hold for lab grown diamonds? And are they going to take over and natural become a thing of the past? Or are natural going to make a comeback and lab grown will get phased out? Well, obviously nobody really knows that. I don't have my crystal ball, even though I've got lots of lovely gemstones in the shop. But one thing I'd look at is the industry as a whole. And there's some very, very big designer brands, like designer watch brands and that sort of thing. And they're actually switching to lab grown. So when natural diamond companies say, oh, they're just a passing fad and lab grown aren't going to last, I don't think that's the case because we're finding in the shop lab grown are very popular, although we do sell a lot of both. When you're seeing these big designer brands with multi-million pound budgets and they're making the decision to adopt lab grown, I think that's a really good clue that lab grown are not sort of this quick passing trend that's going to fall by the wayside. It looks like they are here to stay. Having said that, I think the idea of a natural diamond taking billions of years to be formed in the earth has a real tradition and romance for many customers. So I don't think natural diamonds are going anywhere soon, but they've got a great rival in lab grown. At Ring Jewellers, we specialise in bespoke jewellery and we'll give you the choice. So you can choose natural or lab grown. We'll be impartial, like we have been hopefully in this guide as well. When you're doing your homework for diamond jewellery or you're looking to commission an engagement ring, just be very wary of a company that are very much team lab grown or team natural, because usually they've got a bias view because they're trying to sell you one and not the other. Go to somewhere more impartial, like Ring Jewellers.
Choose a stone. Choose a setting. Choose a metal. Choose a finish. Choose Ring Jewellers.